It's Optimus Solo from the Geekcast Radio Network. Just coming on with my first Facebook Live, inspired by, obviously, Movie Revolt Dan. He's been doing a couple comic book related. He did just a one today on Black Panther. All right. So now what I want to do is do a little bit of a teaser for our top 100 coming out later in 2018. If you guys have not heard that, go back, listen to the Geekcast Radio announcement episode where we were talking about a bunch of announcements for 2018, different shows that were starting, different shows that were ending, and now we also announced in that what would be our top 100 countdown in 2018. If you haven't got the hint yet, folks, it's all about this. All right, so we got our top 100 wrestlers coming out in 2018. I know a lot of people were excited for it. A lot of people voted for it, you know, during the vote last year, whether it was going to be top 100 villains, top 100 wrestlers. There was a few other options. Wrestlers got a lot of votes. So now we're going to listen to those voters and give you guys the top 100 wrestlers of all time. Maybe I might be pulling for the Macho Man Randy Savage. Maybe not, but that could be one option. I mean, heck, maybe I'm voting for Mr. Roddy Piper, huh? We could be voting for this guy. I guess I'm covering up the best part, though. Kilt and all, could be voting for Mr. Roddy Piper. There's a lot of people you could be voting for. Maybe a long shot for... Shut up, Pyro. The pandas are hidden because this is about wrestling, not Amanda. You could be voting for a long shot. Maybe you're voting for the great Native American Tatanka, which, by the way, comes with the necklace and tomahawk, by the way. This is the only wrestling figure I own, for the record, only wrestling action figure, because it's the great Native American Tatanka. But if you want to get prepped, get ready for our top 100 countdown of the top 100 wrestlers coming up, got a few DVDs I could suggest to you. Now, there's a lot more out there that you could suggest. These are just a few of the ones that I own. So you might want to check out the Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, because Ultimate Warrior might be someone you're considering for your top 100. So I would suggest to watch this one and get a feel for what the Ultimate Warrior was like behind the scenes and in the ring. Hint here, guys. Not an easy guy to work with for the other wrestlers. They did not enjoy doing matches with the Ultimate Warrior. You can find out how right here on the Self-Destruction of Ultimate Warrior. Tyro, you're not going to put me in a figure four leg lock. Maybe at the wedding, but that would be kind of rude, I think. So, Ultimate Warrior, Hyro saying he might make the top 10. We'll see. I don't know. He didn't have a lot of moves, was not good to work with, but you can check that out. Here's someone that might be an odds-on favorite as well. What about Mr. Undertaker? All right, Tombstone, the history of the Undertaker. You can check this one out, get some of the lowdown on the Undertaker's career. I would say he's an odds-on favorite for top 10, maybe even top 5. I don't know what you guys think, but Undertaker should be very high on that list, I would guess. So this one you might want to... Oh, Hyro saying he's a one-trick pony. I don't know. He's been around for a long time, got that longevity going for him. We'll have to see what the verdict is with the Undertaker. How about we go a little bit old school? Let's check out some old school here. What about Jake the Snake Roberts? Pick your poison. I know this isn't the most well-known DVD for Jake the Snake Roberts. There's another one that's probably a little bit better, but you could check out Jake the Snake Roberts. Maybe you got some love for the 80s. All right, Hyro, you calm down on your Ric Flair stuff right now, all right? Just give me a second. I will get there. But yeah, let's be honest, a lot of these are old school. So Jake the Snake with the snake and everything, great promo guy. We'll get into that a little bit. What about checking out some of the main stars from the Monday Night War? I mean, come on, this is one of the pinnacles of wrestling here between the WWF and the WCW. You might want to check out the Monday Night War and find out who some of the main players were. I know I'm dating myself. I don't have anybody current that I'm featuring today, but you might want to check out the Monday Night War, get a little, hint on some of the main stars of WCW, Monday Nitro, and WWF Monday Night Raw. All right. If that's not enough, you can get a little bit of old school, go right up to the year about 2000 or so, and you can check out the rise and fall of WCW. This would be a good companion piece to the Monday Night War DVD. So you can check. Here you go, Hyro. There's your man right there, Ric Flair. All right, so we got Ric Flair. We got Dusty Rhodes down here. Look at the Outsiders, Goldberg, all these guys. Sting. What about Sting, guys? Huh? You think Sting might be an odds-on favorite for, top 100 material? What about the Outsiders? What about Mr. Hogan himself? Maybe Ric Flair? Why am I scaring you right now? I do own all of these. I own one more, though. I own one more. Here we go. How about the greatest wrestling stars of the 80s? Come on now. We got Rowdy Roddy Piper, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Sergeant Slaughter, if you like your G.I. Joes. So this one has a lot of good stuff. This features a lot of old school guys. I don't know if you can read that or not, but we got Bobby the Brain Heenan, Junkyard Dog, Greg the Hammer Valentine. A lot of good guys there. Arn Anderson. What about the Dragon Steamboat for old school? Superfly Snuka, Iron Sheik. There's a lot of good stuff on that one. So this was just to kind of whet the appetite, guys. There's a lot of DVDs out there you can check. A lot of different, individual wrestlers that they break down. A lot of different time periods they break down. But the real reason why I wanted to do this, guys, is because I want to get the conversation started on what are we looking for when we are ranking our top 100 wrestlers of all time. So I had a couple ideas. I want to get your guys' feedback on this. All right, I have about 5 or 6 traits that I'm looking for when I'm doing my top 100, when I'm going to compile it. All right. So one thing that you might want to look at is how about what was their gimmick? All right. How about what was their gimmick? All right. Did they have a cool one? Did they have a lame one? I mean, we're probably not going with Isaac Yankem, DDS. Probably not the greatest gimmick, but they had to have a cool gimmick. Like you had to believe in the suit and the persona and everything like that. So maybe you're considering gimmick as a key quality when you're doing your top 100. All right. Could be something like that. Here's 2 that I like a lot, and this is going to be ranking really high when I'm doing my list. So one thing that I bank on is, how about those mic skills? You got to have good mic skills. If you don't have the good mic skills, it's terrible. It's like listening to Brock Lesnar, so to speak. Like he might be a behemoth of a man. He might be real great. Not super great on the microphone though, and that kind of kills it for me a little bit. So you got to have some good mic skills. What do you guys think? Mic skills, how does that rank in comparison with the gimmick that they have? 2 things that are a little bit different there. Which one's more important when you're ranking your guys? All right. Going along with, shut up about the handwriting. Going along with mic skills, it could be showmanship. That's not too bad handwriting for me. Come on, guys. Showmanship. All right. That's a little different than mic skills. It's not just about how well you talk. It's about your charisma. It's about your ability to entertain. This might be one of the highest ones on my list, is showmanship. All right. I've not killed anybody yet. But showmanship, that's got to be a big one, guys. Who's with me? Showmanship and mic skills, some of the bigger ones here. I think it's good here. I know I'm gonna do the newspaper letters here next. No, we can't ignore in-ring skills. All right, you got to be able to actually wrestle. This is where Hogan takes a big dip in the negative direction, because he did not have as many in-ring skills as someone like a Shawn Michaels. Let's think of Ricky the Dragon, Jimmy Snuka, some of those guys we mentioned before. You got to have some in-ring skills. You can't just drop a leg drop every once in a while. That's not enough. All right, so this is where I might put somebody ahead of Hogan that you might not originally. How about the Macho Man? He had some good ring skills. So you might consider in-ring skills as a thing. Kurt Angle, that's a good one. Bret Hart would be another good one for in-ring skills. What about just how successful they were? Did they win belts? Did they win, major matches on pay-per-views? What was their level of success? All right, that might be something that you're considering. So I don't know. Is it just, it's kind of weird in wrestling because, people that have been around a long time, like Hyro was talking about earlier with The Undertaker. He's been around a long time. Was he that diverse? Was he a one-trick pony? Can you balance the success versus just he's been around for a long time, so he's going to have more wins and more pay-per-view things? But success, you can't just not win anything. That's where our previous guy here might suffer. All right, Mr. Tatanka didn't have a lot of success. All right, he had the long undefeated streak, but did he win a title? No titles. All right, so that might be where someone like that kind of suffers a little bit. Last one I got for you guys. How about this one? How about your actual impact on the sport? All right. Were you the one that defined the generation for you? Did you change the sport? Someone like Shawn Michaels, with his high flying ability, top rope stuff, that kind of thing. Did that change the sport more so than like a Goldberg? Did Goldberg really change the sport? He was just a guy that had a big winning streak. So did he have an impact on the sport, like a Sting, like a Ric Flair, like a Shawn Michaels, that type of stuff? So I don't know what you guys think here. We had a lot of stuff there. We had success, in-ring skills, mic skills, showmanship, what their gimmick was. Am I missing something? Well, what else should we consider? What else should we consider when we are talking about the top wrestlers of all time? Is it the outfits? Is it something else? Is it longevity? Should that be a thing? Because a lot of people have overstayed their welcome. They had their prime, and now you're seeing them wrestle in a wheelchair, in diapers, adult diapers. It's not a pretty sight. So is longevity really that thing? The Rock, that's a good one that you're talking about. That's the model of charisma and mic skills might be someone like The Rock. Not being a murderer. Maybe Chris Benoit gets disqualified for his out of ring skills. Should their real life persona, their real life human being aspects play into it? We do that with a lot of that when it comes to actors, when it comes to athletes. Should some of those real life things and their personality and what kind of a good or bad person they were, should that disqualify them? I don't know. Jairo Benavides is doing an early odds-on favorite. He's saying The Rock is going to be number one. He's voting The Rock number one. And then he has 2 through 100, everybody else. Everybody else, 2 through 100. So he's giving no credit to Steve Austin. He's giving no credit to John Cena. He's giving no credit to Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Sting, Ric Flair. He's got The Rock number one. I got to put you on the spot, Jairo. Why is The Rock number one? Are you putting charisma and mic skills and all that stuff ahead, or does he have the best combination of in-ring ability, success, impact, and the mic skills and the charisma, showmanship, that type of stuff? So, you got to check that stuff out and decide how you weigh that out. What about someone like Andre the Giant? Right? What about someone like that? Someone that was huge, that could do things as far as presence goes that nobody else could, or like Earthquake or Yokozuna, those just behemoths of people. Should that give them extra credit? What about someone like Rey Mysterio? A tiny little guy, did so much, revolutionized the cruiserweight division and what we could see from just a high-flying standpoint. Has anybody been like Rey Mysterio? Should he get some bonus points for being small and being able to do what he did? You got to think about a lot of different things. Some people had multiple hats that they wore. Some people were wrestlers. They were also managers or announcers. So that's something that you might want to consider too. But that's the kind of stuff we're thinking about behind the scenes right now at Geekcast Radio, as we're kind of forming our master list from people to choose from. We're going to have this master list of all the different wrestlers to choose from, some of their accomplishments, the belts, the success, that type of stuff. And then we're going to send it out to all the voters and see what people do. And we are going to come up with a list that we want people to focus on, whether it's charisma and in-ring skills or whatever else you guys could suggest. That might be something that would raise one wrestler over another. So that's something that we want to get your impact on. So if you have ideas of what we should be looking for when we're ranking our top 100 wrestlers, you should post it on Facebook, post it on Twitter, give us some ideas. Shoot those over and say, hey, when you're making your top 100, figure it out based on this or based on that. Mount Fiji, Jairo Benavides with a old school reference as well. I love it, Jairo. So let us know what that type of stuff. What should we be taking most? Should it be mic skills, showmanship, persona, charisma, gimmick? Should it be more in-ring skills, what they were able to do, their finishing move? Maybe they had maybe if someone had a lame finishing move, maybe that's just not enough. Maybe it's success with pay-per-view. Maybe it's success with championship belts. Maybe it's who was able to dominate in different companies. You had NWA, you had WCW, you had ECW, you had WWF. Maybe we should have someone that could impact a lot of different areas. Maybe, how do you judge tag teams? That's a good question. How do we judge tag teams? Do they get in together? Or do we separate that? How do you judge Is it the Steiner brothers, or do we judge Scott Steiner? That's a question we got to answer before we get this whole process moving. Those types of things, because there's been a lot of tag teams that were good together, but maybe not so good when they're separated. So, I mean, that's got to be some of the stuff you got to consider. How do we break down heels versus faces? You know what I mean? The cheaters, the guys that would get the metal chairs, the guys that would crash people through the tables, the guys that would hold on to the ropes to win. This is Ric Flair's bread and butter. Is he worth more for that versus someone who did things by the book, maybe like a Bret Hart type or something like that? So who is Babe the Farmer's Daughter? That's what I want to know right now from the people that are involved in the chat right now. Who is Babe the Farmer's Daughter? Because I've never heard that reference. I don't know who you're talking about, Hyro. I love the participation. I don't have a damn clue who Babe the Farmer's Daughter, and I don't know if I can swear on Facebook Live, so I don't know if that's going to get this whole thing kiboshed or not. But who is Babe the Farmer's Daughter? I don't know. All right. There's been a lot of gimmicks. We got the Blue Meanie. We got Isaac Yankem, like I said before. We got the Dumpster Drosy. Those are terrible gimmicks. How do those stack up to people that just go by their name? Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Kurt Angle. Right? They're just going by a name. Was that cooler than Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Junkyard Dog, stuff like that? So the Goon, oh my goodness, he went to the Goon. The Goon is a reference that nobody should get, but he went there. 90s, the Goon, all right? Gangrel, Val Venus. There's a lot of names to consider here, guys. How are we going to break this down? I don't know. All right, but give us your feedback. All right, what do we do with the tag teams? What do we do with the tag teams? And what are the characteristics that would, on your list, propel somebody to the top? All right, what facets of professional wrestlers should we value more when we're creating this list? So that's kind of why I posted this video, kind of start the brain process going, start the wheels turning as people are talking about wrestlers. All right, we want to get that information before we send the list out, before we start thinking about the criteria and who should qualify. Help us out. Did they have to wrestle for WWF, WCW? Or could we have someone on there that was strictly in Japan, or strictly, on one of these more not as well known circuits or companies, that type of stuff? Should we consider that? Or do we give bonus points for someone like Saturn or Raven or someone like that crossed over into ECW, WCW, WWF, stuff like that? So those are the types of questions that we want you guys to help us out with. So we'll make some Facebook posts, we'll make some Twitter posts, respond to those, and let us know. All right, what do we do with the tag teams, and what makes a wrestler better than somebody else in your opinion? All right, not just your personal favorite, not just, hey, I was a Lex Luger fan, or like me personally, I was a Tatanka fan, but I'm not going to say he's the best wrestler of all time. He never won a belt. That to me disqualifies him and knocks him down big time on the list. So we want your feedback. Go to the Facebook page, Geekcast Radio, tweet to us at Geekcast Radio, and let us know what we should be considering as we start the process of naming the top 100 wrestlers of all time. That's it for now, guys. Ending broadcast.